Hello everybody, thank you for joining me in this video. We've got a pretty cool video here. What we're going to be doing today is we are going to be comparing two knives that are the same model, but one's a 2007 and the other is a 2024. And these knives are both Case knives, they're both the same model, and we're going to see how they've changed over the years, and we're going to see how the quality compares. This is the knife. I just got it in. When I got it in, the box was extremely smashed up. As you can see, it had a rough go. They should not have shipped it. I got it off Amazon, and they shipped it in an envelope, and something heavy landed on that envelope quite a few times on a trip over. So when I first got it, I opened it up and made sure the knife was okay. After I did that, I put a drop of oil on the pivot and wrapped it back up for this video. Nevertheless, the knife we're going to look at here is going to be a black synthetic smooth Sodbuster Jr. 2137 stainless steel, one of the best knives Case has ever made. Underrated, one of the best EDC knives ever. You can also see when this one was made, 12/12 of 24. The seller has put this tag on the bottom, 1/6/2025, so this is a pretty new knife. Also, if you saw my video on things to watch for when ordering a knife from somebody online who you don't know who it is, this is one thing I said to watch for is these tags like this, these that are put over. I don't like those. I wish they wouldn't do it, but that's a good sign that something might be off, but I don't believe it is with this one, but that is something to watch for. So let's pull it on out of here. First off, though, before I do that, let me show you my other one. This one right here was made in 2007. I got this off eBay probably 2 years ago. Won it in an auction. I think I paid $12.50 for it. It's in pretty good shape, as you can see. You can see there's really no gaps to speak of. Gaps really don't bother me that much. Not unless they're affecting the integrity of the knife itself. There's a little one back here on the right, but it don't bother me. I've never even looked for one before on here. One thing you will notice, this knife is a little more rounded. They've changed the shape of the Sodbuster a little bit in recent years. That's one of the reasons why I was wanting to do this. Here's the blade. Notice there you got your 3 X's. That's going to let us know that this one's a 2007. Good snap. Sodbuster Jr. stainless. There are a few pitting spots where some rust has... Well, it's not really rust. It's more of a stain of some sort. There's one small one right there. There's a few up here toward the tip. I can't get that to focus. They're very small. It's not a big deal. But they were like that when I got it, and I haven't been able to get them off. There you can see your model, USA 2137 stainless steel. There is no blade wobble on this knife. Now, somebody could have tightened it before I got it. That's possible. I don't know that they didn't, or that they did. I'm assuming they didn't, but they might have. So there's no blade wobble on the 2007. The edge isn't that great. You can see it's uneven down here near the tang. And then on the back side, it got a slight recurve, and the edge is way too thick. So the grind isn't very good. Good enough I sharpened it up as sharp as it can be, but as for just rating the looks of the grind, it's not great. As for usability, it's perfectly good. As for the pins, I can feel this pin. Of course, I could sand that down and fix that. And I can also hook my finger on this cutlery rivet. The rest of them feel pretty smooth. As for the centering, it's not rubbing the liner, but it is leaning toward the show side of the knife. It's not enough. It's not touching. It don't bother me because when I grab it, it pushes it over anyway. But that's how this one looks. So now let's get out our new one. Do y'all think it's going to be better or worse? It's going to be interesting to see the differences. Let's get it out of there. Get this opened up here. I'm going to raise the camera up just a speck. There we go. Set this one over here. So here it is. First off, you're going to notice that they look very similar. I have polished this one with flits. That's why it's a little darker and shinier. First off, let's look at the back springs. Looks really about the same to me. I don't think it has any more or any less gapping. Again, gaps really don't bother me. What about the pins? Smooth, 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 smooth. Pins are smooth, so that's good. What about blade centering? Look at that. This one's right down the middle. That's great. Of course, on a stainless knife like this, you can adjust that, but it's better when you don't have to. Let's get the blade out of there. How about the grind? The grind's probably about the same. It's a little wonky down here. It's not bad, but it's a little wonky. After sharpening it, I always sharpen my knives myself. I always like to put my own bevel, my own edge on it, so I know what's going on. That'll clean that right up. But yeah. What about our tang etch? 2137, stainless steel. I did oil it, so that some of that oil is getting on there. And we can see there when it was made, of course, it's got 3 dots on the top, 3 dots on the bottom. That means it's one of the last of the 24s. 12 of 24. So let's compare these to each other here. We will test the springs. This one, the older one from 2007, has a little stronger spring. Not much, but a little bit. But this is the strongest spring I've ever seen on a Sodbuster, so it's more abnormal. This one right here feels like all my others. Yep, got good snap both ways. Now side by side, you'll notice the tips are a little different. There is more tip on this new Sodbuster than this old Sodbuster here. And that's a good thing, I think. I like having just a little more tip. Also, if we line the kicks up together there, the new Sodbuster blade is just a little bit longer. As for the Sodbuster emblem there that's etched onto the blade, let me wipe that oil off. Probably shouldn't have oiled it right before I intended to do a video on it. But that etch is a little darker on the newer knife. And I don't believe that's just because of use. I think that they are actually etching them darker now than they used to. The kind of etch. Yeah, they look basically identical, which they ought to. One thing, though, that I do think is interesting is one thing that has somewhat bothered me about my old one from 2007 is these as-ground knives. You can see they have grind marks going up and down the side of the blade, like the Buck 110 and 112. They're like that also. But one thing that bothered me about this older one is it also has them going this way, see? Going the length of the blade. It's also got these lines. And none of my other as-ground knives have that, although I have seen others from around 2007 that have that. Those lines that are going up and down along with the side to side, and those up and down lines kind of blur out that etch to the human eye. If any of y'all out there have some of these older Sodbusters from like 2005 to 2009, let me know if yours also has those vertical lines on the blade. See, this new one just has them going up and down. And so you can see that etch a whole lot better, and it's just more attractive. Let's try this. No wiggle in the new one, and there's no wiggle in this old one either. But yeah, the blade's good and tight. If you look through it there, you can't see any light through it. It's good and solid. Fits together good. They have reshaped the handle. I made mention of that earlier just a little bit. This older one is more of a round. I'm going to raise the camera back up. It's got more of a rounded profile. If you notice here, they took the sander as they went around it there, and they kind of rounded this knife. And it's the most rounded Sodbuster I've ever seen. But they were doing that more so back then. This one has the newer kind of style on the Sodbuster, where it's a little more squared off. And I like this better. I know everybody might not, but I do. It fits my hand personally better than a lot of other designs, and I like that little bit of squareness. Gives me a little more to hold on to, and it just feels great in the hand. I've got quite a few other Sodbusters. They were one of my favorite knives initially, and they're still one of my favorites. But to me, as much as I love my yellow one, with my carbon blade, there's something about this one with the black handle. And after I put some flits on this handle, I can get these brass pins absolutely shining. There's something about that and that Sodbuster Jr. emblem that to me is just wonderful. It's just such a simple, and it's charming, if that makes sense. If y'all know what I mean by charming. It's like a nice, small country town. It's charming. It's just how it needs to be. Not too much, not too little. I'm going to put my edge on this blade, but this one is sharp. You can hear it. It's razor sharp. I guess this is probably the sharpest case I've ever got. The last case knife I bought was the yellow full-size Sodbuster. And it had a really good edge on it too. Again, I put my own edge on it. But it had a really good edge on it when it was new too, so maybe Case is getting better at putting a sharper edge on their knives. That'd be good. But yeah, this knife had a real good edge on it. I'm going to put a cleaner bevel on it. Another thing I have a tendency to do is I have a tendency to give my knives what you might call a manicure. I'll take sandpaper and massage the handle to get it just like I like it. You know, I'll polish up these pins. Usually on these as ground blades, I will take some light sandpaper and I will round off this leading edge to make it a little bit smoother. A lot of times on a Sodbuster, I'll also round off this tip a little bit just to get it. I don't know, this one's not real sharp, but I like to do that and polish it up. So yeah, this is the initial unboxing of these knives, and that's how these two compare to each other. Let me check weight really quickly before I forget that. Then we'll end out this video. Let us check the weight. I'll plan to do a more full-size review of this knife later on after I've used it a little bit and massaged it how I like it. Let's see here. We'll do the older one first for comparison. The older one has less handle on it, so it might be a little lighter because it's rounded. 2.10. The new one is 2.10. They're spot on. So there we have two Sodbuster Jrs. Black synthetic handles. One from 2007 and one from 2024. If I was going to rate the build quality, I would say that they're probably basically equal. The only thing is this one's got better blade centering. But other than that, basically equal. Y'all out there, you have a good day and keep your knives sharp.